And we are back in Bus TV.
A non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, is a contract through which the parties agreed to not disclose information covered by the agreement. An NDA creates a confidential relationship between the parties, typically to protect any type of confidential and property information or trade secrets, such as an NDA protects non-public business information. She is the owner of DMCI Holdings. She has 24,356 employees within this country. She is Miss Fatima Dimapuro. Good evening, ma'am Fatima. Welcome to the show. So, ma'am, for your question, ma'am, can you explain what is the conflict of interest and their types of activities?
So, conflict of interest happens when a person's professional or personal obligation come up against in a competing of professional or personal obligations. And the types of conflict of interest is nepotism and self-dealing. Nepotism is the practice of giving favors to relatives and close friends, often by hiring them. And a self-dealing is a situation in which someone in position of responsibility in an organization has outside conflicting interests and acts in their own interest rather than the interest of organization.
How do you identify conflict of interest, ma'am?
So, how do I identify the conflict of interest? I have an example here. If you and your relative are both lawyers, it is generally considered as a conflict of interest for you to represent opposing parties. Thank you.
Conflict of interest can exist in many situations, so we really cannot avoid this. Thank you, ma'am Fatima. Another guest is the owner of Robinson Land Corporation. He has over 45,987 employees within this country. Let us all welcome Mr. Markel Badon. A pleasant evening to you, sir. So here is your question. What is wrongful dismissal, sir?
In law, wrongful dismissal is also called wrongful termination or wrongful discharge. It is a situation in which employee's contract of employment has been terminated by the employer, where the termination reaches one or more terms of the contract of employment or a statute, provision, or rule of employment law. Laws governing wrongful dismissal vary according to the terms of employment contract as well as under the laws and public policies of jurisdictions.
Talk about the wrongful termination. Additional question, sir. How can you prove a wrongful dismissal?
There are different forms of wrongful dismissal. Being terminated for any item listed may constitute wrongful termination. First, discrimination. The employer cannot terminate employment because the employee is a certain race, nationality, religion, sex, or age. Dili siya pwede i-terminate tungod kay nakalahi siya sa uban, like lahi iyang relihiyon or iyang nationality. Another wrongful termination is retaliation. An employer cannot fire an employee because the employee filed a claim of discrimination or is participating in an investigation for discrimination. In US, this retaliation is forbidden under the civil rights law. Another evidence or form of wrongful termination is reporting a violation law to government authorities. It is also known as whistleblower protection law. An employee who falls under whistleblower protection may not lawfully be fired for reporting an employer's legal violation or for similar activity that is protected by the law. So dili pwede ma-terminate ang empleyado nga nagsumbong sa illegal deeds sa iyang employer. Like, for example, reporting to authority because of minimum wage violation. Next is employee refusal to commit an illegal act. An employer is not permitted to fire an employee because an employee refuses to commit an act that is illegal. Example, iyang gisugo iyang empleyado to bribe somebody. Then wala nagsugot because kabalo ang empleyado nga bribery is illegal. Ipahawa sa employee ang empleyado, dili na siya pwede. Another wrongful dismissal is employer is not following the company's own termination procedure. In some case, an employee handbook or company policy outline a procedure that must be followed before an employee is terminated. If an employer fires an employee without following this procedure, the employee may have a claim for wrongful termination. In the Philippines, employers can only terminate their relationship with an employee if a just or authorized cause as defined under the law has been established after due process. An employee who is dismissed without just cause or dismissed wrongfully is entitled to claim to any or all of the following: reinstatement from the job without loss of seniority rights, reinstatement of an employee to the position from which he has been unjustly dismissed detached. It also means that an employee reinstated to the position and continue his or her employment as though he had not been dismissed. In place of reinstatement, if dili na mubalik sa trabaho, an employee may be provided separation pay. Another way of claiming wrongful dismissal is fallback wages. An employee may claim all compensation, including allowances and other benefits with monetary equivalent that he or she should have been received but was not collected. Another way of claiming wrongful dismissal is fallback wages. An employee may claim all compensation, including allowances and other benefits with monetary equivalent that he or she should have been received, but was not collected because of his or her unjust dismissal. It comprises all the amounts he or she could have earned starting from the date of dismissal up to the time of reinstatement. Another form of wrongful dismissal is constructive dismissal. It is an involuntary resignation. Involuntary resignation occurs when an employee resigns because an employer creates a hostile work environment, wherein to continue working becomes impossible or difficult. Forced to resign because an employee is demoted from rank, or deduction or diminution of pay or salary. Constructive dismissal is illegal and it usually happens when an employee resigns because of employer's intolerable behavior.
Our next guest is the owner of McDonald's Philippines. She has 43,698 employees within this country. Please help me welcome Ms. Hannah Jessel. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation for tonight. Here is your first question. What is money laundering?
Good evening, everyone. So, what is money laundering? All of us are familiar to this since this is also happening here in our country. This means the practice by which criminals disguise the original ownership and control the earnings of criminal activities. Also, in other words, money laundering is the illegal process of making large amount of money. Example of this is in casinos. Dirty money is converted into chips and played for a short while, then cashed out in the form of check. Another example is when a person have a huge amount of money and try to put it in a bank without revealing where it came from.
Can you elaborate the different stages and techniques of money laundering, ma'am?
The different stages of money laundering. So the first one is the placement, which means criminally generated funds are presented in financial system. Example are change of currency, cash deposits, and transportation of cash. The second one is the layering. Layering, which the property washed and its ownership and source is camouflage. Example are wire transfers, withdrawal in cash, cash deposits in other bank accounts. And lastly, the integration, which the laundered property is reintroduced into legitimate economy. Example are creating fictitious loans, turnover sales, and capital and contracts. And these are some examples of money laundering techniques. 1. Bulk cash smuggling, or smuggling cash into another country. Number 2 is structuring, also referred as smurfing. Number 3, trade-based laundering. Number 4, cash-intensive business, and this usually happens when a business deals with a big amount of money. Number 5, shell companies used to disguise the true owners. Number 6, bank capture, use of bank owned by money launderers. Number 7, real estate laundering, happens when someone procures real estate with illegal money. And lastly, the casino laundering, when an individual going into casinos with illegally obtained money. That's all. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. In general, money is laundering wherever a person or business deals in many ways with another person's benefit from the crime. We cannot conclude that money laundering is wrongdoing and considered as illegal. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, ma'am. Again, let us welcome Miss Mapi Dael. Welcome back, ma'am. This question is about insider trading. Can you define what it is, ma'am?
Inside trading refers to the practices of purchasing or selling a publicity traded company securities in possession of material information that is not yet in public information.
Can you cite a real-life example of insider trading?
There are a lot of examples of the real-life inside trading. So one of it is Martha Stewart. She is the CEO of the I'm Clown manufacturer of a cancer drug. When the FDA rejected the new cancer drug made by the I'm Clown, the shares of the company is rapidly decreasing. For just 1 month, the company was bankrupt, and Martha was forced to resign as a CEO of her own company.
Martha Stewart is the best example of real-life insider trading. Thank you, ma'am. Additional question, ma'am. What is multi-level marketing and pyramiding?
Multi-level marketing is a strategy of some direct sales companies which make use of current distributors to recruit new distributors through paying the current distributors a certain percentage of the recruit sale. The best example of this marketing level marketing is the Avon, the Natasha, Front Row, Vibrant Products, and many more. Kana bitang uso karon sa Facebook nga mag-recruit and then mag-resell muna siya ang example sa multi-level marketing. While the pyramid is strictly a money game that seldom deals in real business, there is not product or services involved, it just only money exchanged in hands.
Is multi-level marketing the same with pyramiding?
Multi-level marketing is too far different from pyramid. Multi-level is legal while the pyramiding is illegal.